So we had a forum at our school today where a lot of kids of color came in and we talked about some of the issues that bother us. It was an open discussion, but we talked about microaggressions and stuff like that, and one of the topics was diversity. So I wrote this thing, which I kind of like, so I'm going to share it again. I wrote this because when I think about diversity, Asian American author Jeff Chang, he wrote a book called Gon Be Alright, and that always comes to mind. Because inside it, he wrote an essay called Is Diversity for White People? And why is it that these white institutions, they're always talking about we want more diversity or we're very for diversity, and why is that? What is their real intention? So quoting Carlos Lozada on the Washington Post, he wrote, Chang explains how the concept of diversity has been exploited and rendered meaningless, used as a corporate marketing tool as well as an evasive maneuver against more radical efforts at mitigating inequality. The radical effort mentioned, which strives for real integration, is equity. Equity is equal opportunity, but diversity is only equal representation. They seem similar, but they're so different, especially because if you look at it in another perspective, it seems that diversity really revolves around white people. So in 1978, the Supreme Court decision in University of California versus Back, they decided to implement affirmative action in universities. The judges ruled for this not because they wanted to end segregation or racial exclusion. Rather, it was enforced because they argued that diversity makes for a more fulfilling experience. A fulfilling experience for who? The Washington Post comments that affirmative action was no longer to uplift the marginalized, but to enhance the experience for the dominant majority, white people. This concept was described by Nancy Long at Denver University as racial capitalism, which she calls a systemic phenomenon, the process of deriving social and economic value from racial identity. The legacy of people of color being exploited in the United States has continued, only this time our exploitation is in the form of us being celebrated for our racial identity, but it reduces us to that. They don't value our strengths and abilities. We remain as commodities for them to advertise their companies. We're the one person of color in their photos to show how diverse their company is. They don't care about uplifting communities of color and giving us educational justice. They only care about making themselves look less racist. To finish, Jeff Chang writes, cultural equity is not just about representation, it's also about access and power. We have to shift our focus to that, from diversity to equity. We want real justice in the form of real power. We don't want to be the diversity candidate being hired. We want to be the person hiring people. You know what I'm saying?